Not every single one of us is going to be a mental health professional, but that's okay because we can all help with mental health with one amazing tool: listening. You don't need to have all the answers, and in fact, sometimes it's actually better not to have all the answers because we have this tendency to jump in and try and fix things. And often when a person is sharing with you, it's because they want to be heard, not because they want you to fix their problem. So I want to give you some tips on what you can do to be a better listener. There's a fantastic expression that I like, which is listen to understand, not to respond. So often we will listen with the motive of being the next one to talk, waiting for our opportunity to speak next. But when people are open up about their mental health, one of the best things we can do is create that space. And we can do that with something called reflective listening. This is where we simply say, it sounds like you are experiencing, and just reflect back what they've just said to you. It seems really cliched, but it gives the person a chance to feel understood and to know that you're on the same page as them. It also gives you an opportunity to check in that what you have heard is actually what the person is saying, and that can really help make that connection. So for example, if the person says to you that they're really struggling with work at the minute because it feels like there's a lot of pressure on, and if you reflect back and say, oh, it sounds like there's a lot of pressure on at work at the moment, that must be really tough. That's going to make that person feel that you've connected with them, and that'll increase the likelihood of that person opening up further to you. Then there's the difference between open and closed questions. A closed question is something that has a straight yes or no, and it leads to a person giving a very short answer. An open question is something that avoids that. So even if you were to say something like, who else could help you, as opposed to, is there anyone else who can help you? If you say, is there anyone else to help you, the person might default straight into no. Whereas if you say, who else could help you, their brain is going to then go looking for the answer to that specific question. Here's a few open questions that you can try out. Number 1, how are you feeling? We ask this a lot. We ask, how are you doing? And quite often the answer will just come back as fine. So we want to follow that up with, no, how are you really feeling? Is there anything you're struggling with right now? We give that person an indication that we want to hear more than just the surface. We want to present ourselves as a person that is there to actually hear. Number 2, in response to someone telling you about a situation they've had, how does that make you feel? And listen to what they say and then reflect those words back. One of the questions I love to ask at the beginning of a call is, how can I help? Because ultimately what I'm trying to figure out is what a person thinks is currently wrong. But if we ask the question, what's wrong with you? That leads a person to a really bad place a lot of the time and makes a person feel judged. If you ask, how can I help? It leads them towards the thing that they need help with, which is ultimately what you're trying to find out. Not exactly a question, but if you just say, tell me more, when the person is talking, you encourage them to carry on. And another one that gets to the fix but helps the person to find the fix themselves rather than you presenting it for them is, if I was to come to you with this problem, what do you think you'd say to me? Because we've always got better advice for other people than we do for ourselves. The big thing we want to do is avoid jumping in with the fix unless we're explicitly asked for it. So if the person says to you, what do you think I should do? That's the moment to actually make any suggestions. But otherwise, jumping in with suggestions too soon will just make the person feel unheard and make them feel like you don't understand. In fact, you'll probably hear the answer, oh, you just don't get it. After you've asked and after you've listened, the next stop is to signpost. You don't need to have all the answers to mental health and to understand every condition. But it's a good idea to have places that you can signpost people to. In the UK, there's 2 that I really recommend, which is the Hub of Hope, which is a website and an app that actually lets you put in your postcode and find mental health services in your area, and is the text service Shout, which is 85258, which is a service that people can text if they'd rather not speak to somebody face to face. And when we say ask, listen and signpost, one of the things that is often forgotten is follow up. This person might be a really close friend, so you'd follow up with them anyway. But if it's not, check in with that person. See how they are a few days later. That little bit of extra there can go a long, long way in making that person feel cared for. Few final tips. Give space. Don't jump in to kind of finish people's sentences because they actually might go to different words than what you would have done. And again, we want to hear it in their language. And there's one that I'll admit that I even struggle with this. There's 2 phrases that I like. 1, let the silence do the work. Sometimes leaving a little bit of space, even what you might consider to be an uncomfortable silence, when you ask a question, gives that person time to think and actually then will produce a better answer than trying to just have the conversation 100% at the time. And the other one is an acronym, WAIT. This stands for Why Am I Talking? I know that a lot of you watching this will be like me, they'll want to do that fix, and that's why I'm making this video. Sometimes it's not about what we've got to say, it's just giving that person the space to talk. And if we're more focused on what we need to say, then we're not given that space. So I hope this has helped, and please do share this video with anyone that you think it might be of benefit to. Please hit that subscribe button below so you can get notified when new videos go live.